Welcome to Twists of Life, where every story has an unexpected turn. Stories of joy and sorrow, hope and redemption, just like the life we all live. Make yourself comfortable. It's time to begin. Sarah stumbled forward, and tears streamed uncontrollably from her eyes. The world before her blurred, losing focus. An inner voice repeated only one question. Why? Why had her life turned out this way? She had grown up in an atmosphere of prosperity, was an only and adored child. Her father doted on her, fulfilling her every wish. However, despite the circumstances, Sarah had not grown up capricious or spoiled. She sincerely loved her parents and studied diligently. She finished school with honors and university with a first-class degree. She actively engaged in sports, winning awards and medals that were the result of her own effort, hard work, and dedication. Her father invited her into his company, gradually introducing her to the family business. And here Sarah impressed him with her sharp mind and professionalism. And then disaster struck. Her father died under unexplained circumstances. While hunting in the company of friends, a tree fell on him. It fell so absurdly and tragically, right on his head. Death was instantaneous. Sarah, who had always been a daddy's girl, suffered a terrible blow. But inner strength and an unyielding character helped her cope with the grief. She didn't just return to work, but took the helm of her father's company. Relationships with her mother had been difficult since childhood. Her mother often seemed jealous of Sarah with her husband, as if forgetting that she was her daughter, not a rival. Nevertheless, Sarah loved her mother, though she didn't always understand her actions. No sooner had Sarah begun to recover after her father's sudden death than a new blow struck. Her mother had a heart attack and died a week later in the hospital. Again, tears, a funeral, farewell. All these tragic events befell Sarah in less than a year. Left completely alone, she threw herself into work, noticing nothing around her. Circumstances forced her to grow up too soon and take responsibility for the fates of hundreds of people working under her. As it happened, Sarah didn't have any truly close friends. Studies and sports took up all her time, leaving no room for parties and carefree socializing. There were classmates, fellow students, just acquaintances, pals. But there was no one with whom she could share her deepest thoughts or ask for advice. Her best and only friend had always been her father. But he was gone 3 years ago, and coming to terms with that loss was incredibly difficult. And suddenly, he appeared in her life. Their meeting was accidental. They met at a city festival. Sarah was present as an honored guest and event sponsor. And David was the son of one of the deputies. He immediately made a strong impression on Sarah. Handsome, incredibly charming. They started dating. After only 3 months, David proposed, and Sarah happily accepted. They got married, and David moved into her house. Married life turned out to be far from the fairy tale the courtship period had seemed. Literally a couple of months after the wedding, David started disappearing frequently in the evenings, returning towards morning. He didn't work and, it seemed, had no intention of doing so, quite content that his wife provided for both of them. Rumors reached Sarah about his infidelity and that he had married solely for money. But she refused to believe it, trusting her husband and his words. However, his idleness and complete lack of ambition bothered her. She had repeatedly suggested he start his own business, but David evaded her offers under various pretexts. Almost a year passed like this, until one day Sarah received a call from a certain well-wisher who informed her that her husband was currently out of town at a roadside hotel in the company of another woman. Tired of the endless gossip, Sarah decided to personally verify David's fidelity and went to the address given. The caller even gave her the room number. Driving up to the hotel, Sarah paused for a moment, wondering if she was doing the right thing. I have to check, she decided. If he's not there, he'll never know about my trip. And if he is, then I don't need a cheating husband. Stepping inside resolutely, she went up to the second floor. Stopping at the correct door, she listened. From behind it came the sound of a woman's laughter. Gathering herself, she knocked confidently. A young woman opened the door. "Who are you looking for?" she asked, surprised. "Excuse me, may I come in?" Sarah asked, less confidently now. "Why on earth?" "We're relaxing and not expecting anyone," the girl replied, calling into the room. "Darling, could you come here, please?" David appeared from the room. He was wearing only a towel around his waist. Sarah looked at her husband, unable to believe what she saw. "Tell me, what were you lacking? Did you really marry me just for money?" Sarah's voice trembled with rising tears. "Sarah, it's not what you think," he began. "Well, you couldn't think of anything stupider in this situation." Stunned by his audacity, Sarah said firmly, "Enjoy your stay. I'll send your things to this address." She rushed out of the hotel as if fleeing, afraid that David would chase after her. She wanted to hide from all her problems somewhere in the wilderness, in a forest. But there was no forest nearby. However, in the distance, she could see some kind of park or grove. Sarah ran in that direction. She didn't remember how she ended up near the railway tracks. Looking around, she tried to figure out where she was. Her mind felt clouded. Sarah walked, and tears flowed from her eyes in a stream. She saw nothing before her. Only one question echoed in her head. Why? Why had everything in her life turned out like this? Suddenly she stopped. Her head spun, and she felt completely unwell. Managing to think that she hadn't eaten anything today, she fell, losing consciousness. At that moment, someone caught her and dragged her away. She woke up in a cramped cubbyhole. A young man with a disheveled, homeless appearance sat beside her. Fear seized Sarah. What if he dragged me here with bad intentions? But the guy didn't look aggressive. On the contrary, seeing that his unexpected guest had come to, he spoke. "How do you feel? Did you intentionally fall headfirst onto the tracks, or was it an accident? You were very lucky I was nearby. Otherwise, the train would have run you over. I managed to drag you away by a miracle." He continued talking, asking questions, but Sarah had difficulty understanding what was happening. Finally coming to her senses, she looked at her savior again and asked, "Where am I? What's your name?" "My name is Michael. You're in my shelter." Michael looked at Sarah, about to ask what had happened to her, but changed his mind. Who knows what grief a person has? Maybe it's not worth reminding them, he thought. But Sarah herself told him how she ended up here, about her ungrateful, cheating husband, and how she ran wherever her eyes led her. "Michael, thank you so much. You saved my life. My husband is definitely not worth dying for on the tracks." "And why do you live here? You're a very young man. Where is your family?" Michael lowered his gaze. He felt awkward, but decided to answer frankness with frankness and told his sad story. "I had a family. My parents were very wealthy people. They died in a car accident, and I was left alone. More precisely, I had a brother, because of whom I ended up on the streets. My father left his business to me in his will. My brother couldn't accept this and set me up. He set me up badly. I had no other choice but to hide. He promised to help with money, but as you see, I'm here, and no one sent me any money. I'm not from around here. I have nowhere and no one to go to in this city. I wanted to find work, but I don't have documents. And recently I found out that he declared me missing. Can you imagine? I should go back and prove I'm alive, but those I supposedly owe are waiting for that very thing. And I don't know what to do. They won't even hire me as a loader. So, Sarah, your story isn't the worst. You were betrayed by your husband, and I was betrayed by my own brother." Sarah looked at Michael with deep sympathy. She sincerely felt sorry for this kind young man and decided to help him at least a little. "Michael, let's do this. We'll go to my place now. You'll take a bath, then we'll go to a salon to fix your hair, and then we'll update your wardrobe a bit." Seeing that Michael was about to object, she raised her hand, stopping him. "Don't even try to argue. It's useless. You are my savior. If it weren't for you, I would have already. In short, you saved me. So, no objections. I know how to be grateful, and I remember kindness. So let's go. We need to find my car." They left Michael's shelter and headed towards the hotel. The car was in the same spot. David was standing next to it. Sarah was surprised. "I'm just curious. What are you hoping for? That I'll pretend nothing happened? Don't even dream of it. Gather your things today and make sure you're out of my house." David wanted to say something, but then looked at Michael and burst out laughing. "What a unique specimen you found for yourself instead of me. What? Couldn't find any decent guys? Have you stooped to bums?" Sarah knew how to take a hit and parry. "You won't believe it, but this, as you put it, bum is more decent and smarter than you. You're not even worth the little finger on his foot. I deeply regret marrying you. It was my biggest mistake. But it's all right, I'll fix it." They got into the car with Michael and drove away. While Michael was taking a bath, Sarah called a hairdresser to the house and ordered some men's clothes from a store. Everything was delivered quickly. When a freshly shaven Michael came out of the bathroom in her husband's robe, Sarah was astonished. He turned out to be very attractive, even captivating. And after the haircut, he also looked younger. "Well now, that's completely different. Let's go somewhere now and celebrate my second birthday and your return to a normal life," Sarah suggested. Michael didn't object. He was very hungry, and they went to a restaurant. The clothes Sarah had chosen fit him perfectly. He was even surprised. "How did you manage to choose clothes that fit me so accurately? I can't always do it myself without trying them on." Sarah smiled. "I often buy things online. I bought for my father and for my husband. I just have a good eye. I'm glad you liked my choice." "And the styles? Do you wear things like this?" "I didn't ask and chose based on my taste. Everything's great. You guessed right here too." "Michael, I have a suggestion. We're almost the same age. Let's be on a first-name basis." "I don't mind. Let's." He smiled. He liked this girl. It was easy and pleasant to talk to her. Sarah also looked at her savior with interest. After the external transformation, it was easier to see him clearly. Good upbringing and education were evident, and Michael's manners were fitting. I wonder, if we hadn't met, how would he have lived on? Would he have remained an outcast because of his brother? How awful. They arrived at the restaurant. The evening was wonderful. Michael told stories from his past life, and Sarah told hers. They recalled their parents, childhood, student years. They spoke the same language. It was easy and fun to be together. Suddenly, the phone rang. Sarah excused herself and stepped away from the table. She talked for about 10 minutes and then returned with a radiant smile. "Everything all right? Good news?" "Yes, very good. My lawyers have prepared the divorce papers, and I can get officially divorced tomorrow. So as not to delay, I don't want to be his wife anymore, not even formally." "Congratulations." "Yes, thank you. But that's not all. I asked someone to find out a few things about your brother. In short, I'll help you get your father's business back. And for now, you can work in my company, if you want, of course." Michael looked at Sarah, not believing what he heard. "How? Is that even possible? Who are you? An angel?" Tears welled up in his eyes. "It turns out you're my savior, not me yours. You brought me back to life. I don't know how to thank you." "Stop it. It will be my pleasure to help you. So, will you work with me? Of course I will. He paused and added, now everything has fallen into place. Sarah looked surprised. What has fallen into place? Michael walked over and took her hand. It's just that I dreamed of you. I didn't accidentally end up in the place where I found you. I fell asleep, and I had a very strange dream. A girl was walking in a beautiful blue dress, and behind her back were huge white wings, like an angel's. And then she suddenly fell, head first onto the tracks. And at that moment, I heard a voice. Get up. You must save the angel. I jumped up and ran to where I saw you, and you were also wearing a blue dress. I don't believe in mysticism, of course, but this is definitely not a coincidence. So you are my angel. Thank you. So that's it. She paused and smiled mysteriously at Michael. Now we'll have to be together always. An angel can't abandon the one they protect, can they? And they both laughed.